Australians have a very special kind of humor. It's not so easy to understand for us because they made jokes about things we are not very amused about that, especially on our very special past in Germany, and that's very difficult for us as Germans to deal with.
What I do when I'm feeling blue is I keep myself busy and I think about home.
I was, every day I had those thoughts that I want to go back, I want to go back. I think that was the weakest time that I felt that I can't take it anymore. I felt like an outsider.
It's the study, it's job, it's managing expenses. It's actually very tough. Time is limited, Melbourne is huge. We have to actually manage and juggle between job, expenses, work, study, and everything.
And someone may come to a country like Australia thinking that they want to settle here, but then the reality of the place may not be what they anticipated, or things may not work out exactly as they planned. The job wasn't what they expected. The relationship they came for, didn't progress or didn't develop in the way they'd hoped.
So Brene Brown, this social scientist with 4 PhDs who did an extensive amount of interviews. I think she interviewed about 6,000 people, and she asked one fundamental question, which was, what is the most important thing that human beings need? And after thousands of people she interviewed, she said that the number one core thing that humans need, regardless of their gender, their race, or their status, is that they need to connect. They need to belong.
So I immigrated here when I was 4 years old, and from South Africa, and I had a South African father and Australian mother. So we came to live in Australia, and I for all extensive purposes looked like all the other kids around me because I was fair-skinned like them. And yet as I grew older, I kind of had a sense of losing my identity because I had completely lost contact with my home, my country of birth, and all my relatives there as well. So even though I looked like everyone else here that was born here and had an Anglo-Celtic Scottish heritage, I still felt extremely different and sometimes really isolated.
I think that's the reason that people fall into crime or fall into even gangs. You see young men go through teenage years needing to belong, that need for their peers to accept them. People will do amazing things to belong.
That new life doesn't necessarily always exist. And so when you have such a big gap, I think what you get is frustration, disappointments, and if there isn't the support there, if those connections aren't made, then there's a time where people will say enough is enough.